Scott Helmer here. Thanks for clicking the video. I want to talk to you a little bit about mindset. So I've been talking to people about for 6 months or so, if not longer. I've also been talking to a lot of fitness professionals, sports teams, and whatnot to kind of share the message of the difference between having a fixed mindset and a dynamic mindset. Along with that, talking about youth, our young people, our kids, our students, our young athletes, and how does mindset affect them. I know there's been a lot of talk on the internet recently about the wussification of our children in sports, how we give away participation awards and things of that nature. And I got to thinking about it. And Rita and I were talking the other night. You know, she's had two daughters that played competitive soccer at a very high level. I have two daughters currently right now involved in soccer and softball. And we got to talking about it. And, you know, there might have been a time in my life where I kind of agreed with that because, again, I've been a coach for 30 years and an athlete myself. And, okay, yeah, you know, there's 70 on a team. You can only put 11 out there at a time. You put your best 11 out there. But what about all the others? So we got to talking. And I don't know that I totally agree with that theory that we should not give participation awards. I don't know if I call it participation awards, but here's the thing. Carol Dweck's written several books, Stanford psychologist on mindset, primarily with young people, athletes, as well as students. And she talks about the difference between the achievement and success that we are kind of obsessed with in this country. And what her research over the last 20 years has shown is that when we praise children for success in school, let's say, and you have a group of students that are being praised for their intelligence and their ability versus the group that's being praised for their effort and sticking to the process, failing and working hard, the group that almost always will do better on testing and also better in their grades is the group that's praised for their effort and for their stick-to-itiveness and their understanding that failure is part of the process versus the group that has been told that they're smart, that they're good, that you're fast, that you're a good athlete. It makes sense if you think about it. What happens is the fixed group that's been praised for their ability and their intelligence, they hit that ceiling quick and they stop working hard. They've arrived. And as a coach, I can tell you, I've seen that with athletes. I've seen some of the greatest athletes, and I know that I've coached, and you just kind of scratch your head and you go, wow, what's going on with that kid? He could be so much better. But he's been told since he was old enough how good he was or how good she was. Well, after a while, they get to that point, and that's the expectation. The perception is that they're great. They don't have to work as hard. This group over here that might not have the intelligence or the ability, but yet they have that work ethic. There's a big difference. So should we give these people participation awards? Yeah, because that's the praise that they need. This guy is only looking for the MVP. This person over here in this group is looking for that praise of, great, that looked like it was hard. You kept working at it. Boy, what did you do good today? That was awesome. That's the type of praise that works. Okay. So when we talk about our young people, when we talk about even sports teams, that's the difference. If you think about all the athletes playing at a high level, whether it's collegiate football or collegiate sports or professional, they've all been told that they're here. And what do they do when they get to that level? Some of them stop working hard. You can count on two hands, maybe, if you have all your fingers, maybe 10 or 12 professional athletes that you can look at and say, wow, their work ethic is above reproach. Why do you think Jerry Rice was a great athlete? He was a great athlete. He was average when he came out of Mississippi Valley State. You know, no one thought much of him. Some people had him on the radar like the Niners did. But in terms of the difference between he and, say, another athlete at the same time that was just as good in terms of statistics at the time, he wasn't there. But he worked harder than any of them because he was praised for how hard he worked, and that made him better, and it made the team better. Versus someone that comes in with that expectation of greatness. How many of those have made it in sports? Count the Heisman Trophy winners on probably one hand, maybe half a hand, that have actually been successful in football. So that's my point. I have nothing wrong if people don't want to give, the thanks for showing up award. I get that. That's a choice. But when we're talking about young people and we're trying to develop their minds and their belief systems and their attitudes, we need to do a better job as parents, as coaches, of praising the effort. I know I work in special education and I know the difference between a student that has the ability and the intelligence and a student that works hard. And almost inevitably, a lot of my students with special education needs outshine some of their general education students that don't have a learning disability strictly because of their work ethic. That child will get an award for participation because they've elevated their game. And more importantly, they're learning some life skills that's going to help them in the future. They're going to learn that failure is part of life. It's okay. Whereas if you're just rewarding the ability and the intelligence, anytime there's a roadblock for some of those individuals, whether it's in sports or school, they're going to stop. Okay, and that's what the research has shown. So get Carol Dweck's book, Mindset. It's a great read. It really opens up your mind a little bit to kind of how we praise our young people and what we can do in terms of a better job of making sure that we're not just looking at their intelligence and their ability, but we're looking at the process and the work ethic. And I think, if you really look at it, not to get too philosophical here or political, I think that's what's wrong with our country in a nutshell is that we look at winners and losers. We look at the haves and the have-nots, and we don't appreciate the fact that a lot of people that are in that middle ground work extremely hard to be where they are and understand failure and understand how failure can help you be more successful, but you just got to keep working at it. You got to keep working at it. That's key to success in anything you do in life, whether it's athletics, whether it's school, whether it's a career or job or life, your relationship. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's a little long video, but I felt the need. Again, working with these kids and athletes as I have for so long and working with my own kids, I'm just so much more aware now of what I say to them. And trust me, in the past, I've told my one daughter, man, you're smart. That's awesome. You're potentially just super intelligent. She is. But at the same time, I didn't want her to get to that point where she stopped working, which she did earlier in the year. And so now we've moved forward, and my praise and Rita's praise and toward them for what they're accomplishing in school is based upon that effort. And I think we need to all do that a little bit better and continue to work with that. So, just my 2 cents. It took about 8 minutes, but hey, I hope you got the message. I'll be talking to you guys real soon. If you have any questions, shoot me.